I want to move a procedural motion because Dean Kimpton needs to go early and he needs to be here for item number 13, which is the IS Transformational Program and New Core Budget Update. So I would like to move that item 13 takes precedence. Okay, Councillor Penrose, thank you. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. I'm sure you're all very interested in this particular item. Thank you. Welcome, Dean. And who have we got? Michael and Paul Tomlinson. Excellent.
Good morning, councillors, and thank you very much for the opportunity to give you an update on the New Core program. This morning I have with me Mike Volley, who's the head of the Information Services part of Council, and on my right I've got Paul Tomlinson. Paul has now taken up the role of Program Director for the New Core project. So they'll at different times both be providing further input. As I see it, today's report back is in response to the meeting we had at Finance and Performance last year, where we received your approval to adjust the funding and the program on this project, and it's an opportunity for us to now provide regular reports to you on progress, issues, risks, and to provide that opportunity for you to further inquire. The context of this presentation this morning will be to give you a high-level overview of where we're at with the overall IS transformation program. It's just one slide, and then to drop into a bit more detail around the New Core project itself. I've also included an appendix to this presentation, which isn't in your reports, but it's just an example of the typical reporting we get on a monthly basis as an executive, so you can see and understand the nature of some of the changes that we've implemented. Now, that's the general form of this presentation. I guess in summary, the hard work has paid off in respect of the reset. So thanks for your confidence in that. We are tracking on our budget, we're tracking on program, and we've got a lot firmer control on cost, on scope. But this remains a tough project, and that's why it's important we continue to report to you on a regular basis. And it'll remain tough, just because that's the nature of these sorts of big changes in organisations. So moving through. Oh, the only other comment is that this is a for information progress report, so we're not seeking any decisions. So progress to date at a high level, there's a range of projects in there. I'm not going to touch on those particularly right now, but in terms of the overall IS transformation program, a significant number of projects have been completed. There is a range in there that are in flight or in progress. New Core is one of them, but you'll see in amongst them data centre consolidation, network consolidation, the workplace strategy rollout as we improve our workplace environments. So happy to take questions on that, and we can come back to that later, but I don't intend to stop too long and talk to those at this stage. Dropping then into the main project, which is a significant chunk of that transformation budget. We wanted to just share a bit, and I'll ask Paul to talk to this, around what the key achievements have been, what some of the upcoming milestones are, and Paul will talk you through our financial KPIs and where we're at this stage. So, Paul, if I can hand over to you. Yep. You're on. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Dean and Madam Chair. So, if we go through our key achievements to date since the reset period had completed, in effect we have commenced our implementation with Hybris, which is our online e-commerce solution with SAP. So that was selected for Auckland Council-wide, and the work has commenced in terms of the implementation on that, not just for New Core, but also for Auckland Council-wide. Also work for property consents, where SAP was selected as their best of business solution, commenced late last year and is well in progress and moving forward through this year. Some key upcoming milestones are design sprints. We've adopted a proven methodology for our property consents, which is called Agile, and design sprints are a key part of that. For property consents, so they have commenced earlier than was originally planned. This Monday of this week they actually started. We've also been working through the procurement vendor reviews and RFPs evaluations, and we're on track to complete that work by the end of this calendar month around that. In terms of lean design completed for property consents, we're working towards completing that by 31st of March. We are on track to do that. Some parts are well progressed, and hence why we've been able to start our design sprints for property earlier this week. Just some metrics in terms of our progress as at the end of December. You'll see that we are, from our project plan perspective, our whole of program plan, we are 32% complete against a plan of 29%, so we are slightly ahead of plan at that point. In terms of costs, our actuals to December 14 at 20.8 million, and our budget for the whole financial year is a 46.7, so we are well on track to be within our budget for this financial year. And in terms of our whole of life costs to the end of this financial year as well, we are also on track to be able to achieve that. Overall, with regards to certainly new core within the IS transformation program budget, we're also tracking to that 157 million, which is what was approved in the previous, back in November, the finance and performance meeting. So we're tracking to be able to achieve that as well.
So I'd like to pick up now from where Paul's left off and just move over this recommendation slide and into what we've referred to as an appendix. And in this appendix, we're sharing with you typically what is an executive steering committee, and certainly what goes through to the exec, we get from the project team that talks to program, scope, cost, and risks. And so I'll just take you through this. The intent is not so much to dive into the detail of it, but it's to give you a feel for the level and quality of reporting that we're receiving so that we have confidence that we're dealing with issues in a real-time major project. So this is a snapshot of that. We don't typically have this coming to us monthly, but I didn't want to put it in. Part of the reset phase was to also reset the structure and the governance, the project leadership. So this is the latest structure, just to highlight the first box there, the executive governance. There's a steering committee which consists of Kevin Ramsey, Mike Foley, myself, Patricia Reid. We have SAP sitting on that because they're a significant contributor to the overall success of the program. Paul as a program director, and we have EY sitting on that, and that is responsible for meeting monthly and driving this project, and I chair that committee. So that's the top box, and that's what we would call the governance box, or the executive governance box. The next pink box that you can see with a range of different groups in it is the program governance box, and you'll see that Paul in the middle there leads that team, and he has support from the technical review board, which makes sure that any technical solutions fit with the overall architecture of our information systems within the organisation. And we have the business ownership group, okay, and I chair that, and that has contributing GMs from across the organisation, making sure that whatever we design is fit for purpose. And that meets monthly, and there's some great pressure testing in that group of actual design and solutions. In effect, that group owns delivery of the outcome and delivery of the benefits. And then there's a range of other structures around delivery governance, so you have design, data governance, and design working groups. I won't spend any more on that, but that was a restructure as a result of the reset phase. Typically, we'll get a summary of key risks. So here's a slide. I don't want you to dive into the content. You probably couldn't read it from that distance anyway. But the objective is to share with you a range of the inputs that we get. So typical risks that we might be dealing with on an ongoing basis will relate to data quality. Will it be fit for purpose? Will it be ready to go on our go live date, our first significant go live date in the middle of next year? Yes or no? How are we managing that? What structures are we putting in place? Another key risk that we've been working through as a group is the interdependencies between this program and other information system solutions or solutions the organisation wants to better run the business. And those interdependencies have an effect on this program, and likewise new core affects the ability of the organisation to also deliver externally to its customers. So understanding those dependencies, working with them, and ensuring we don't lose sight of our goal, which in this case is to deliver new core on time and on cost, is critical that we manage those. Key risk managed at this forum. There's a number of gates or time frames, so this slide just gives you a snapshot of that. They're well planned. We understand the resources and what we have to do to get there. This is part of the typical conversation. I won't bore you with the detail. I understand you have that slide. We get regular reporting across all the elements of the program, so we understand financially where this program is month to date, year to date, and life to date. All of those critical in terms of monitoring the risk. So when we come to you and tell you that program to date and year to date that our percentage complete is 32% versus a plan of 29, we know that we are confident that those percentages are a true reflection of what I call the earned value, and that is that the money we've spent has delivered the value or the progress we expect at this point in the program, and so those metrics are a true reflection of where we're at. And Paul does a regular monthly, quite detailed status report, and it goes through each of those key program elements. So I won't bore you with the detail, but also alongside those is a risk rating. So typically red, amber or green. This program sits across a mix of amber and green right now. If you asked me where it was sitting part way through last year, all the indicators would have been red for the obvious reasons.
We weren't told that at the time though, were we? Now we know.
Thank you, Councillor Lee.
Those would have been red, and that's why we brought it back to this committee last year, because we had to do a reset, but I didn't want to come to this committee and ask for a reset without actually understanding what I was asking for. Exactly. Hence the importance of that November Finance Performance Committee meeting. So we'll get red flags like this across the key things. So that ends the presentation, and we're quite happy to take questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's Councillor Quacks.
Yeah, you know, some of these things are kind of difficult to get your head around unless you're an expert in this field, and so a whole bunch of these words come up that we don't necessarily understand, or and one of the things that came up was select hybris. So within that SAP, that is one of the programs that deals with a specific part of the business. And in this case, that is dealing with online commerce. Have I understood that correctly?
Sure. I'll hand over to Mike, who will talk about the strategic decisions around the use of SAP as a preferred platform, and then to talk about the detail of Hybris. Is that okay, Mike?
Right. Through you, Madam Chair. So Hybris is a product set that SAP sell. They acquired it 18 months ago. It is a piece of software that allows e-commerce. So most of your online transactions through things like iTunes is an e-commerce channel. What we have bought is a similar equivalent to that. Hybris will be used across council, not only for rates and regulatory, but also for things like bookings for community halls, anything where there is a cash transaction that we need to address. And by putting it online, it makes it easier for everybody to use as and when they're required.
Thanks.
Okay. I think it was that slide there, I think several of us wanted to know. I thought Kathy might have asked it actually, what they all sort of meant. Was that the one, Dick?
IS transformation?
Yes,
Yeah.
progress to date.
Yeah, well, just.
All sorts of BSRs
Yeah, there's
and
a whole bunch of,
AMPs.
the whole bunch of things, and I think that I understood what Hybris meant, or was, how that worked. But, you know, there's a whole bunch of things here that probably, you know, and we don't, I suppose in some respects, we don't necessarily need to know what AM, PM stands for, morning and evening, I suppose, but I'm sure it's not.
Look, we did discuss that slide and the acronyms on it. What we'll do, the information being provided before, happy to do it again, and that is we'll give you definition of what each of those projects means, okay?
Well, it's actually not so much what those programs, but what they do.
Yeah, or what they do.
What they do, because otherwise, you know, we're going to say, oh, you know, you're spending $180 million, and, you know, what does it actually do? What does this do, councillor, the money you're spending on? And, you know, we know in very general terms what it is expected to do, and we hope it all works out. But I suppose we need to be able to say, well, look, you know, you'll be able to go online and get a lot more information about your property, about other properties. You'll be able to engage in a lot more e-commerce with the council that you can't do at the moment. Council will be quicker to respond and will become more efficient. And that's what we all want to see. And, you know, I think an explanation of some of those things is quite useful.
So
I
we'll
think there is an explanation in the report on page 5, but for example, AMPM says disparate systems and processes being utilised to manage core asset management for parks, property and property functions, leading to inefficiencies for maintenance programs and asset utilisation. What on earth does that mean?
Okay, well, that's a very good explanation. Thank you.
So
I'm glad you cleared that up for me.
what we will do is we'll provide you a brief synopsis of what those key transformation projects mean and what they will deliver, and we'll provide that by separate copy to all of you.
Thank you, thank you. Councillor Walker.
Sure. Got a few questions. One of them goes to a question that I raised when we were doing this reset, and essentially it goes like this. We had a cost overrun, things were going, as far as I could see, and we acknowledged, over budget. So what happened was, in order to deal with that, things were pushed out. They were spread out. The budget's been pushed out further, and we've had a reset. But one of the things that we still haven't had any reporting on is what is the impact on that reset and the delays on the savings that we actually had anticipated across the organisation, because the whole purpose of this exercise is to enhance efficiency, obviously to enhance customer experience. And the concern that I've got is that I think those savings across the organisation were pretty significant, because if you interact with anybody in this organisation that's, you know, doing something on a computer, it's still taking a lot longer than what it could take. You don't need much to work that out. So I'm still interested in knowing what we've foregone in terms of those savings, because we are spreading the project out further.